what are our thoughts around these processes that have been unchanged? They've been there since centuries, and it doesn't seem that there is any interest on changing them.
Yeah, well, thoughts on that. How have we managed to get away with it for so long? How come there's not been other teams that have been challenging the status quo, shone through and taken all the opportunities and all the fees with more efficient, more productive ways of working? How can we stay the same for 100 years and still have our jobs? Like architects 100 years ago might have been drawing and creating their designs on paper. If you are still doing that now, you wouldn't be able to keep up with all the new architects who are now using Revit and Python. So QSs, we're consistently doing a poor job at innovating and getting more productive across the board. And so no one stands out as being behind.
Other teams and the clients themselves, right? Because no one is questioning why my project is delayed by this many months that are necessary to measure the entire project and give me a budget. And why after this budget is over budget, I still need to go back and redesign. So basically time impact of this outdated, I would qualify these processes outdated because they are not at all adjusted to modern ways of design and construction today. But so they're extending the entire project duration by these months to perform the task rather than doing it parallel to the other teams as they work. But also the consumption of hours, of resource hours to do, to produce and deliver in such a manual, tedious way. You could say they are redesign. It's almost sometimes more hours than to design itself. You're redesigning by going absolutely through everything and measuring it again. You better do, instead of measuring a wall from A to B, you could be designing the wall from A to B, right? So you're basically going through the entire design, redesigning it, just for the sole purpose of extracting the information and taking quantities from it, correct?
And the outcome of that is what you're talking about now is estimating the cost of a building. We've received a design from the design team full of architects and engineers, and then the QS typically is taking that design away. Like a pause is made.
Siloed it.
It's in a silo or on a bottleneck, and we might take a month or a couple of months to come back and tell you what we think the opinion is. Our opinion is of how much this building's going to cost.
And produce something totally disjoint from that design that cannot be transferable, and it cannot be recycled, and it cannot be connected to the common data environment in any way at all. We've had an interview with one information manager, very interesting to watch, and she will be horrified by hearing these conventional practices out there. But why no one is questioning this is, why not quantity surveyors themselves putting so much time of their own lives on doing this type of work that is going nowhere, is siloed things, it has a dead end. And clients are saying, why I'm paying someone for doing this when, this could be optimized in different ways. So
yeah, it's a good question. I don't know how we're getting away with it. Like, it's already putting strains on relationships with different members of the team. The architects spent a lot of time creating a design they're really happy with. It's really creative, and they're excited about it. Then when we go away and we come back and the budget is huge, not the budget is huge, our estimate is much bigger than anticipated. And we've got to start making cuts on that design they're really proud of. So then all they see is the QSs going away, taking too long to come back with the estimate. And then the bad news is everything that you really were excited about the project, maybe it's the finishes or some really nice glazing, we're going to make a recommendation that's reduced or cut out to bring the project back in line with the budget. So there's one problem, relationships with the different members of the team. That's already an outcome of.
And I've heard in all these conferences, technology is going to improve the process, is going to improve the delivery. I don't think technology is going to save the quantity surveyor from being the mood killer, the party killer, the one that brings the bad news always to the table. It's not technology that is going to do that, because...
But it'll set expectations earlier. We'll be able to provide that advice quicker, earlier in the project. So if we talk about like designing to cost, maybe that's as the design is progressing, we can increase the feedback loop from changing the design and updating the design to the cost advice. So you don't get too carried, the design doesn't get too far. And then it's got, there's even more rework when we come back with the estimate. If we're doing it in chunks and much more frequent feedback loops, then we don't have to do as much rework when there are problems.
But you're saying something very interesting there, Harry. You are now challenging the process. So, and that is very important to bear in mind, because it is not about bringing technology to the current processes. Technology is not the savior that is going to allow you to do things the same way you are doing them right now. Your methods, your processes of measuring just digitally. I think that entire concept is what needs to be challenged. It's not the fact that you receive the project material and then you work with it digitally with a technology tool in a computer. That's still, I think, not enough. So therefore, creating tools and creating technology to support quantity surveyors, contract managers, commercial managers, cost managers, in this carbon LCA, in this mindset of tell me what you do and I will bring technology to assist you. I think that's not going to solve the issue. What we should be questioning is farther behind, or like move to the origin of day one. What do you need? Not what have you been doing for the last centuries? It's like, what do you want to get? And then tell me, where do you start? And now we start rethinking how technology can support you. But forget about how you've been working all these years. Don't work the same way ever again in a project. Just forget about that. Just work, like, it's about challenging the process. And it's exactly what you were saying there a minute ago. Like, we need to work in smaller chunks. So now you are bringing that implementation of technology, not to the actual involvement or traditional involvement of the quantity surveyor in the project, but actually trying to bring him forward to target smaller chunks of the project, ergo early in the design stage, correct? That's what I understood.
Yeah, definitely. And that is interesting, not just speeding up the process, but looking at the requirements that we have and simplifying and
the process itself, right? It's not supporting the current traditional conventional processes that have not been challenged or changed since forever, and make them technological now with technology tools, but actually forget about the process. Change the process, disrupt the process, start from the beginning like if the profession had never existed before, ever. And now reshape it.
Yes.
With a technological mindset, understanding what tools, what is the potential out there, what other industries have done for similar outputs. We deliver a very specific product to building assets, but like in the end, it's not so different from other production industries, right? Or the concept should be similar. So why don't we apply some of those good practices, best practices on a small scale, but in this large scale of buildings and design a product, right? And how do we reconsider all those processes again?